Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is a welcome addition to Kevin Smith's filmography, and actually does a better job than his last few films of creating a decent story that's worth watching with a little bit of comedy in his style that makes it something you can actually enjoy. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot stars Kevin Smith, of course, as Silent Bob, and his number one buddy, Jason Mewes, as Jay. The film is, as Kevin Smith said, basically the same fucking movie as Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. And it pretty much is that in the fact that what happens, or the main motivation of the film, is that Jay and Silent Bob get in a situation. In this case, they lose a court case saying they no longer own the rights to Jay and Silent Bob. They can't call themselves that. And Saban Films has actually bought the rights, and they're going to remake the Blunt Man and Chronic movie that was being made in the first film. And so, guess what? They got to go back out to Hollywood, kind of do the same thing over again, and stop a movie from being made and be able to regain their identities as Jay and Silent Bob. Like I said, it's a pretty good Kevin Smith film. It's one of his better films at the last couple of them, Yoga Hoosiers, Tusk, a couple other ones that are thrown in that have been just dog shit as of late. But this one does a good job, and it kind of goes back to his roots in he basically just focuses on the relationship of Jay and Silent Bob and kind of the characters that they interact with. And really the whole movie is just kind of a greatest hits collection of all of Kevin Smith's films, and that they bring back Brody, Jason Lee's character, Holden McNeil, Ben Affleck's characters in it, that really annoying security guard that harassed him, and Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back is in it, along with several other, the chick that's in Chasing Amy. Basically, it just takes all of his best characters, kind of brings them in and weaves them into a story, along with putting his own Harley Quinn Smith, is Kevin Smith's daughter. She plays in the film. She ends up playing what is Jay's daughter, because after Jay and Silent Bob lose the court case, and they then take off towards Hollywood to stop the last little bit of the movie from being filmed at Chronic Con, which is just a knock of Comic Con. It's kind of cute. It works. And what happens is they go off. They end up meeting up with Justice Elizabeth Shannon, I believe, who was in the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And Jay finds out, well, looks like you actually had a love child with her, but since she's been in jail and you never went back to her, he doesn't know this child. And of course, it's Kevin Smith's daughter, who it actually seems to be a pretty good actress. Of course, she's kind of hamming it up. Again, your dad's the director. I could kind of see that. But she's not a bad actress when it gets down to brass tacks, and does a pretty good job and kind of rolls with some of the humor. So basically, Justice ends up going on vacation. So Millennium Falcon, which is the daughter's name, Millie, I think she goes by, ends up basically kind of blackmailing Jay and Silent Bob to take her with them on their way cross country. So they take her and her friend, and there's several instances where she like pulls a knife on them, threatens them, and it's kind of funny because she's 17 in this film, and it's just funny because, especially if you know the connection, it's Kevin Smith's daughter, because you can see a familial resemblance between them, and it's kind of funny seeing some of their interactions because she's playing Jay's daughter, but Kevin Smith is there and he's kind of looking at her, and it's like, so it works in this instance. Well, she gets them and they go off, and then basically there's a couple of little pot scenes along. One of the keys is Jay and Silent Bob got the last 3 joints of some super bud that they rolled that they're going to smoke throughout. They smoke a little bit of it. They end up drugging Jay and Silent Bob with some edibles. They pass out. They wake up. Looks like Millie's met up with a couple more friends, and basically what they're doing is they're going to go out to Chronic Con, take one of the friends there, and try to make some things happen. A little more Jay and Silent Bob antics. Of course, they get dumped. The chicks take off. There's another little scene where they flash back to the makeshift, like Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine scene from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And it's kind of funny, and they flip out a little bit. And they got Red Man and Method Man that kind of make a dig at the How High movie, and how they made the second How High movie that nobody knows about, and it's not very good. And again, it's kind of cute. Like, Kevin Smith has got some of his rapid-fire dialogue, and just kind of, I guess you would call it maybe like double speaker, the way he talks. He talks really fast and kind of says some things that if you're not paying attention, they don't necessarily go over your head. You're just like, oh, that's just a normal statement. And you think about it, you're like, oh, I see what he did there. Oh, okay, that works. Well, Jay and Silent Bob wake up, and they end up getting an instance where they track down the girls who stole the van, and they end up getting caught by some KKK folks, and they rescue them, and they take off on another trip. We're finally ending up out in California where they're having the Chronic Con. And that's when some of the older characters from Chasing Amy, Mallrats, Ben Affleck, several more of them show up in it, and it's kind of cute. And then you find out, like Ben Affleck has a kid with the Chasing Amy lady, and it was like, oh, okay, so basically what's going to happen is they tell him, like having a kid changed my life, and Jay realizes, oh, okay, so I need to make amends with my daughter. So he tries to make amends with his daughter while they're going in there trying to basically be part of this last little bit of the Blood Men and Chronic film that's being filmed at Chronic Con. And they send Kevin, because Kevin Smith is directing the film, so there's a couple little inside jokes where they're making fun of Kevin Smith, and then obviously Silent Bob is Kevin Smith, and they're like, oh, well, maybe we can knock Silent Bob out, put him in, or knock Kevin Smith out, put Silent Bob in his clothes, and kind of go where we need to do. Well, they do a little bit of that, and then it's end up finding out that the friend of Millie, the little Asian girl, is actually a Russian spy. Okay, well, she's a spy, and she's going to take over Comic-Con, and I don't know exactly what she's going to do, blow some stuff up, kill a bunch of folks. Silent Bob, who's been kicked out, ends up coming to, puts on like an Iron Man suit from the first Iron Man when he was in the cave and made it, goes out there, and they get in a little fight. You're just waiting for Cockknocker to show up. He doesn't really show up, but there's also some little villains that are very similar to him in this, so it's kind of, okay, kind of cool, and kind of plays with it. But really, then it ends kind of after that. They save the day, they resolve any familial issues between Jay and Millie, and they talk about how, maybe we can go from here, and even circles back around to the old Quick Stop. Jay and Silent Bob are there, they show Millie where they used to hang out, and there's the joke about them like stuffing gum in the lock, so Dante's not able to open the sliding door, which is a joke because that all came about when Kevin Smith made Clerks. He worked at that Quick Stop, the gas station, convenience store, or whatever, and the only time he was able to film was at night, so they wrote that into the original Clerks film as being something that happened so they could correlate why, they're shooting inside with, added lights instead of using the natural light or during the daytime. And it works out. I mean, if you're a fan of Kevin Smith, you'll like this film. If you're not necessarily a fan, some of the jokes will go over your head because they are very specific in terms of what they talk about, because they are in most of the cases referencing his past films, mostly his better films. Again, Clerks, Clerks 2, Mallrats, Chasing Amy. Those are the big ones. They avoid the Jersey Girl, Tusk, Yoga Hoosiers. There's a couple little jokes in there, but it works out. I would recommend this film, certainly if you are a fan of Kevin Smith's style and humor. If you're not a fan of Kevin Smith's style, then you won't really like this movie. You may find a couple of chuckle points in it for you, but it's not going to be one of those ones that you want to write home about it. But other than that, like I said, if you like Kevin Smith, I could definitely recommend it. It's pretty funny. It's definitely worth the watch. I believe it's over on Amazon, so if you got that, go ahead and check it out. Other than that, thank you. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share, and have a good day.